In Review 12, we wanted to improve the quantity takeoff process from start to export. Based on our customer requests, we have included improvements to the measurement tool visual look and feel, improvements to the markup metadata, and we've added more power to how you export your takeoffs in reports. We continue to refine and enhance Revu for the specific ways our customers need to work. To get started, let's first talk about our new visual enhancements to the measurements tool. I'm going to first switch over to our new profile just for takeoffs. And when I do that, you'll notice that I now have all of my measurement tools over here on the right-hand side. I'm going to open up this drawing that already has a number of measurements already placed on it. And the first new enhancement is you can now move or rotate any linear caption. So I can click on this measurement. Let me zoom in here. And you'll notice to rotate, these yellow anchor points appear. I can click on that to rotate the area. And then I can also do the same thing with my perimeter. So when you rotate it, it's going to go in 15-degree increments. If you wanted to have even more control, hold down the Shift key as you rotate, and it will let you go in 1-degree increments. But now this perimeter is covered slightly, and I want to move it. I can now move all linear measurements. So I hold down the Shift key, and I can simply move that. You could always move area, but now you can move length and perimeter as well in Review 12. When you need to move a length measurement caption, Review will now attach a leader line to it. So let's go over here to this small electrical room, room 112. And I'm going to go in and take a quick length measurement in this room. I do that, and you'll notice that the caption is slightly covered, and I want to go in there and move it. So I can just select it, hold down the Shift key, and drag that caption anywhere I want. Review for the length tool will automatically add that leader line so you can easily see what it attaches to. So these enhancements are going to just give you more control and power to create a very clean, organized set of measurements. And speaking of this length tool, another new feature in Review 12 is when you take a very small length measurement, and I'm going to do one of this sink over here. I take a measurement of it. For small ones, you'll notice Review is now going to inverse the arrows. So now it's very clear that we're talking about the length here in between these two inverted arrows. So that's a new feature of the length tool in Review 12. Our third new visual enhancement is a new center out radius mode. So if I zoom in here on this bathroom, let's say I need to check for ADA compliance and make sure that I have that 5-foot clearance that I need. I'm going to actually open up my measurement toolbar here, and here's our radius tool. So we now have a new option for center radius. So I can just click down my mouse and then drag out my tool. So I need to get 2.6 feet as my radius here. Now I can go in here and select it and then just move it, drag it out here to make sure that I have this 5-foot diameter clearance that I need for the ADA compliance. So it's much easier now for you to go in and check those radiuses using the center radius option. Just a few other small visual updates to Review 12. We have a new, more user-friendly ruler look. And if your ruler is not showing in Review, you can just simply go to View and Ruler, and this is just a simple toggle button. You turn it on and off. So mine's off, now it's on. And you'll notice this new ruler, wherever my mouse is, it's going to show a line there showing exactly where I am on the drawing. It's going to make it a little easier for you to see where you are. Also, if you have any markup selected, it's actually going to highlight that area on the ruler itself. So it's just going to help you out to be able to see a little more what you're doing. Finally, we also have a new full screen crosshairs feature. You can go over here to the settings icon on your command bar to turn it on and off. You'll see there's an option for show full screen crosshair. So if you regularly use AutoCAD, you might be very familiar with the full screen crosshair. And a lot of our customers like to use this for lining up elements. So you now have that option in Review 12. You can just simply click it on and off from the settings icon on the command bar. So let's now move on to a few new features that involve the metadata information that you will see in the markups list when you take your measurements. I'm going to go ahead and close out of the Measurements tab. Now let's move on to 3 new features that involve the metadata information that you will see in the markups list when you take measurements. So first, a time-saving feature we've added is that a single measurement will now calculate all possible measurements in the markups list. So if I go over here and I want to take an area of this room 104, I can just drag that area out. And of course my square footage is showing there, but now when we open up our markups list and select that option, you'll see that not only is my square footage showing, but also my perimeter is showing as well. So you won't need to duplicate any work. Whenever possible, Revu will display in the markups list length, area, perimeter, volume, and this brand new column called wall area. So let's go ahead and talk about wall area. We now have this preset column that comes by default in the markups list. This used to be something that you'd have to set up as a custom column, but now it's going to be there by default. This is something our drywall and painting customers have been requesting. So if we look at this area that we just placed onto the drawing, I'm going to go ahead and open up my Measurements tab over here and click on this room. If I know the wall height for this classroom is 8 feet, I can go over to my Measurements tab and enter into the depth field. The depth is the same as wall height, 8 feet. And now when I hit enter, you'll notice Revu has just calculated for me the wall area and the volume for that particular room. Now you can actually do this for a whole bunch of measurements all at once if you've already taken them. So I could go in here, these are all my resilient flooring takeoffs. So I could just go in and in the markups list, multi-select all of these. And if I know that the wall height is the same for all, I can enter 8 here. And you'll notice when I hit enter, all of those wall heights and volumes are automatically calculated for me. Now let's look at improvements to how you export your takeoff data. So another exciting enhancement for the takeoff process is that sort totals from the markups list can now be exported to Excel. So you'll notice, and let's look at my markups list in more detail here. We have all of the takeoffs for my resilient flooring from these classrooms. And you can see in the markups list itself, it's actually totaled them up. So I have a total for all my perimeters, my areas, my wall areas, and my volume. Now, when I go to create my report that I want to export to CSV or XML, I'm going to select CSV. I now have some options of what I want to include, what data to include in that report. I could just include the markups. I can include the markups, so each individual room, the data from each room and the totals, or, and this is the feature that our customers have been asking for, I could just export those totals. I'm going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and save my CSV file to my hard drive and open it up in Excel. And now you'll see for that resilient flooring, I have just the totals for each of those columns. So I could do that for all of my different materials and only create a report for those totals. Hopefully we've just made estimating a little bit easier for you when you're using Revu. Finally, let's look at one more enhancement to our measurements tool, and that's support for separate XY axes. I'm going to go ahead and open up another drawing here. This is a new feature that our civil engineering customers and people who work on bridges and road projects who deal with drawings that have separate XY scales, they've been asking for this for a while. So if you notice on this drawing, when I open it up, and I'm going to now open up my Measurements tab here, we have a separate vertical and a horizontal scale. So all you need to do is click on this button in the Measurements tab that says Separate Vertical Scale. And that's going to give you the options now. If you know the exact scale, you can enter it in here, or you can use our calibration feature, which is what I'll do to show you. So I can click on Calibrate the X scale. And as long as I know that this is 100 feet between these 2 points, I can simply go in here and calibrate my drawing. Now I want to calibrate my Y scale, and I can go over here, and I know this distance is 10 feet. So I can enter that in. So now we have 2 different scales stored, and Revu can go in here and measure, take all of your takeoffs and measurements from this drawing using a different X and Y axis. So that's it for measurement enhancements in Revu 12. We hope you'll find these new features make your quantity takeoff workflows even easier to perform in Revu. Thanks a bunch.